Hello, everyone. It's the Women's Eye Podcast, and I'm your host, Stacey Gualandi. Now, thanks for joining me here, where you will meet passionate women who are creating change. Now, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and today's fearless female guest is out front to stop cancer in its tracks. But first, this is brought to you by Casco Financial Group in Phoenix. Casco President Catherine Scrivano started her business to help people like you create the financial strength to achieve your dreams. Okay, so joining me, you can see her, award-winning journalist Kristen Dahlgren is making very good use of her time since leaving NBC News earlier this year. This breast cancer survivor and thriver is also the founder of the Cancer Vaccine Coalition, and she returns to update us on the fight for a breast cancer vaccine. Welcome back to the Women's Eye, Kristen. How are you?
Thank you. Good to be back with you. And I can't believe how much has happened in the past, 10 months of my life. It's been absolutely insane.
It's a
I
fast
like
10 months.
it really was. And I like to call October Breast Cancer Vaccine Awareness Month because you know what? We're all aware of breast cancer. We get
Yep.
it.
Yep.
1 in
Yep.
8 women in this country will be diagnosed with it. We have friends, we have sisters, we have moms, we have daughters. Enough already.
Yeah.
And so we need to raise awareness about these breast cancer vaccines that are in development. They are in clinical trials and we can get them sooner. So life's mission, and we are full steam ahead. And I'm so glad to be back with you.
Oh, this is great. And obviously this is a very, I don't know if it's any busier just because of the month, being that this is October, but have you been extremely busy right now and certainly getting your face out there too and talking
Yeah.
about it,
That's what I bring to this whole project. You might be sitting there saying, what is a journalist doing talking about curing cancer? And I think that's really what I can bring to this project is, a platform, a voice, some awareness. So yeah, October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, there's a lot of coverage of it. So I was able to go back on the Today Show twice. So sort of a little homecoming, which was
I
nice to
know.
see my friends again. Everyone always asks me, do you miss it? And I really don't, other than the friends, I
Yeah,
miss
yeah.
seeing my friends every day, but I was really grateful to be able to go back on and give them an update as well on what we're doing. And, we're making incredible progress. We did have a rebrand and a restructure. So we're Cancer Vaccine Coalition. That's been new in just the past few months and
Are
is
you
really
still finding
exciting.
that, I was going to say, are you still finding that people are curious or weren't even aware that a vaccine is something that could be helpful
Yeah.
in the fight against breast cancer?
No, I mean, to this day, every day, somebody is like, what? I had no idea those were in development. And I think there's probably a lot of you out there that don't know anything about this. Don't feel bad because I didn't know anything about it. It was around this time last year that I first talked to Dr. Nora Desis at the University of Washington. And she told me about the research that they're doing and that other people around the country are doing this type of breast and other cancer vaccine research. And it's not just like, oh, we have this idea for some time in the future. This is
Okay.
happening now.
Yeah.
Phase 2 trials. Look, we're going to get, everyone's saying we're going to get a melanoma vaccine in 2025. That is next year, a vaccine for melanoma. So these cancer vaccines are in development. In the UK, they're giving out 10,000 cancer vaccines as part of this national program, this national push. So it's not just me saying it. You can look, the Wall Street Journal had an article on cancer vaccines in the past week or so. This is big time science being developed. Memorial Sloan Kettering, one of the top cancer hospitals in the country, just opened its own cancer vaccine center to
Wow.
advance in all different types of cancer. So, at Cancer Vaccine Coalition, we are focused on breast cancer first,
Yep.
but that
Yep.
doesn't mean that we're not looking at helping other cancer vaccines as well, or in the future, really leaning into those because, I went to the UK in March, I think it was, to this cancer vaccine conference. They are looking at this as sort of a national, let's be first in the world in cancer vaccines. And, I want us to do something like that here because I think if we get more and more people, like mass numbers of people into these trials as quickly as possible, then we get the data, we get the quick turnaround. It's not that we're looking to cut corners or do this unsafely. It really is, can we get the thousands of people needed to move these trials, prove that they're safe, prove that they're effective, prove that they're better either in addition to or instead of standard of care. And, then we can get these to market and in the arms of everyone who needs them. And there are a lot of people who need
Who
them.
need them. And with the as a coalition, the goal really is simply to bring all of these scientists, all the science, all the research
Mm.
together to really fast track a vaccine.
Right. And if you look at any like major development in history, so the moon landing or, the Manhattan Project, which obviously had a much different outcome than we're looking for, but, those big projects that really move the world, big steps forward, those are usually collaborations. And we know that, a single person can change the world, but it's much easier, it's much quicker, it's much better if everyone joins together. So it's a coalition of those scientists. We've got the researchers from Memorial Sloan Kettering and Dana-Farber and Cleveland Clinic and MD Anderson and Roswell Park and UPenn and University of Washington,
All the biggies,
all kind
yes.
of working together. On like sharing what their research is. Oh, why don't you do this? Or have you thought about this? Or, oh, you've already done this, so I don't need to do that in my study. Maybe I can move it forward in this other way. So it's the communication that really hasn't been in existence because everyone was in their silos working on this. But it's also a coalition of survivors, either raising their hands to say, I will be a part of these vaccine trials,
Yeah.
or what can I do to help? Can I help raise money? We're looking to bring in pharma companies and biotechs because ultimately they need to manufacture and scale this. The government should be a part of this coalition. And I've been to the White House twice. I've talked to the heads of the NIH, the NCI. I'm going
Woo.
to keep knocking on those doors because they told me as of now they don't have money and we are expecting an administration change and things will be changing in Washington. So we just need to keep after whoever is in office.
Do they
And
seem responsive though to it?
yeah, it's really interesting. So, they've said they love the idea. And that if I fund it, they will support it and maybe run the trials, which,
Well,
did make me
you're like,
laugh
I'm
a little
working
bit.
on it, but
Yeah, I'm
it's a
like,
coalition.
I'm one person and you're the US government. And, it's not that they don't want to, it's just the way, budgeting is and the way Washington is, but I'll
Yes.
keep rattling cages and I will be funding it. In the meantime, we're really excited. So Cancer Vaccine Coalition, we're expecting to fund our first expansion of a trial that's already in existence and showing promising results for people with HER2 positive breast
Okay.
cancer. We hope that can give us some data that can be used in other subtypes as well and moving vaccines forward. There's another trial for metastatic triple negative breast cancer. It's mostly funded by the Cooney Foundation out of Seattle, but we're kicking in a little to bring in a second site. So we introduced Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center to the University of Washington. And now because of that introduction, they're going to be working on a trial, with two sites, which is really exciting because then you get the geographic and the ethnic diversity that you may not have with just one site running those trials. Also, we enroll quicker if there's two sites.
Yeah.
And so that's really exciting. Those are like tangible things we can see how this has made a difference in this research. And that's really just getting started. Like we are so new. We just got our new 501c3 in September because we had to redo that process. And we wanted to make sure this was a public charity, that it's owned by the public, it's for the public, and really have a strong governing board, which we've put into place and all the controls that we, didn't have previously. So it really is this solid organization that now we can help move that science forward and really start to, raise big money, hopefully.
Yes, because that always is what drives this. I mean,
It's
it's
expensive. These trials, that's just the way it is. They're expensive. And I think They're in phase 2, which is often called the valley of death for vaccines. So they've gotten like some early small funding to do the small studies. Then they need to, prove what the dosing will be. They've proved they're safe. Now they're looking at, dosing and effectiveness. And then in phase 3, they look at kind of versus standard of care. And everyone who's on these trials is still getting standard of care. It's not like we're taking chemotherapy away from
Yes,
anyone,
they're still doing the treatments right
Yeah.
alongside. Okay.
Yeah. And look, I'm hoping that someday nobody ever has to go through chemo or mastectomy again. We're not there yet. We're realistic about that. And we can
But
just
that's
see how,
ultimately the goal, right? I mean,
yeah, how our
yeah.
immune systems can fight the cancer and who can do that and at what disease burden can that be done. And so there's a lot of questions still to answer. But we're really, moving this science forward and de-risking it by us funding kind of these phase 2 trials. The hope is that pharmaceutical companies who have a lot going on will then say, oh, look at this data. This is really promising. I'm going to partner with, I'm going to buy this technology. I'm going to manufacture this and get it to everybody.
Well, and obviously too, the goal is they want to find a vaccine that works, but also, they're driven by, hey, this a moneymaker,
Yeah. I mean,
too.
that's just a part of the reality of our system, and that's okay. I don't care
Yes.
who makes the money, who gets the credit. I just really want a vaccine because I get letters every day, Stacey, from people who are like, I'm stage 4. I've got kids. I've got a family. I have a husband. I have a job. Whatever it is, I've got grandkids. I need something that
Yeah.
will help me. And, I think the other thing is this month, we often have this idea, you see everyone dressed in pink and the boxing gloves and the boas and the this and the that. And there's this idea that we're all survivors and we're all doing great and we're like beating breast cancer.
What's the
Some of us
reality? Yeah.
are. And, unfortunately, 30% of people who get breast cancer will metastasize. We are
Because it's
still,
really a story about metastatic breast
yeah,
cancer,
I
right?
mean,
Isn't that?
anyone who dies from breast cancer dies from metastatic breast cancer. It's when it spreads to the rest of your body. So it may start, and I hear stories all the time, which is hard for me to hear, but people who were like me, who were earlier stage, I was stage 2, they go through treatment, they're great, they're in remission. We had a woman in our community here at home who had 5 years, I read, that she was in remission, and then it came back with a vengeance this summer, and now she's gone, and she's got a kid, in elementary school. And so you hear those stories and you realize that we're doing okay against breast cancer. We have improved survival rates, but those survival rates really haven't improved dramatically since
Okay.
chemotherapy was introduced, since some of the, modern developments, which when I say modern, I mean 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So we
Is
can now, we're ready. It's time for this like next phase for the future of cancer treatment. And like I said, the doctors who are doing this research say that they're more hopeful than they ever have been, that they have the keys to unlock this science, to unlock our immune systems to fight this disease in a way that we've never been able to do before.
well, that is
Yeah.
very heartening, because when you talk about it's all ages.
Mhm.
We're not talking about women over a certain age, or in men as well. Um,
No, the
so
stats just came out and it's, younger and younger women being impacted. I was on the Today Show the other day with a woman who's now 23. She was diagnosed at 19 years old. No family history, no clear risk factors, 19 years old. She was in college and going through chemotherapy. It's just, someone said to me, if we lost a small commercial jetliner every day, we would figure out a better way to fly the plane. We lose 115 people to breast cancer every day. We need to figure out a better way to fly this plane. And, Cancer Vaccine Coalition, we really believe that vaccines are that better way. And we need to figure this out quickly. If we wait the 25, 30 years, until it's, on the current system and it goes through this approval and gets this funding. And, that's something like 860,000 lives that will be lost in that time. So if we can move that up to 5 to 10 years, we are saving almost 1 million lives.
Yeah.
If that's someone you know, if it's you, if it's a family member, a friend, you know, we're all going to know people with this disease. And so you don't know who it's going to strike. You don't know who's going to metastasize. You don't know who's going to die from it. We can do better.
Yeah. I look at, I look at your path with this. I mean, you were at NBC for years, a storyteller, and then a survivor of breast cancer, and now a matchmaker. Really, I mean,
Right?
that's
Yeah.
become your new the new hat that you're wearing. How rewarding has this been for you? And like, you don't miss doing the news, but because of
Right.
your experience and really reporting and telling other people's stories of dealing with breast cancer, I would say saved your life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was a story I did for Nightly News, where I interviewed a doctor at the Mayo Clinic about a new study that said 1 in 6 women doesn't present with a lump. So when I saw a dent in my breast, I didn't say, oh, that's not a lump, I'm going to ignore it. It's not that hard marble that we expect to feel. I knew that I needed to get it checked out. And so I do credit that with saving my life. If I hadn't gone, who knows how much more advanced my cancer would have been. And so I think that there's a real power in sharing our stories. It's something that I'm still doing with Cancer Vaccine Coalition. So we on Instagram and on social media are sharing our Give Us a Shot campaign, we call it.
I love that. Yeah, because it's got double meaning.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just the shot in the arm that we all want. It is a shot at life. Give me a shot at being here for my, now 8-year-old. Give me a shot at watching her graduate, watching her walk down the aisle. Give me a shot at, being here for anniversaries with my husband and being here for my elderly parents. It really is a cure for cancer, or at least a way to make it so it's not a deadly disease, will give us all this shot for a long life. And we all deserve that. We deserve better than what the current, treatments are, which is toxic chemotherapy and an amputation of your breast. We have nicer words for it, but that's what it is. And if you've gone through it, it's not pleasant, it's not comfortable. It forever changes the way you feel and the way you feel about your body. And so I think that, this really is a shot at something better. So we've been recording these, we're posting them, we're encouraging people to make their own. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
something that everyone wants a shot at in life. And whether
And it's
you've
just
had
give me a
cancer or
shot,
you know
right? That
someone, yeah.
yeah.
So make the videos, tag us. It's at Cancer Vaccine Coalition on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, or X, sorry. I'm so old school.
Whatever that threads.
Yeah, right. So, make your own and tag us. We're going to be doing some giveaways for Giving Tuesday, which we're really excited about because look, this doesn't end on October 31st and okay, we're not talking about it anymore. This is a year long or years long,
Years
however
long,
long it
yeah.
takes us to get this vaccine to market and then other cancer vaccines to market. So, we need all the help and awareness that we can get because as we started this with, there's a lot of people that don't know this is out there. So if you're just hearing it for the first time, check out our website. There's some data there, some posts about stories that we've done. I mean, the data is just incredible. I want to share that. That one study that really blew my mind was 10 years ago. So before even the modern vaccine technology, University of Washington's Cancer Vaccine Institute gave 66 women a vaccine for HER2 positive late stage, so stage 3 and 4 breast cancer. The people who got that ideal dose, it was a series of 3 doses, so a vaccine in your arm and then a booster. The middle dose proved to be the most effective. 85% of those people are still alive. Even people who got the smaller or the larger dose, which wasn't quite as effective, 75% are still alive.
And this is
These
from
are
10 years
people,
ago?
this is from 10 years ago. These people were expected to have a median survival rate of 5 years. They are still alive. They say they got extra time. They got time with their families. They got to see those grandkids born. They got to see the weddings, the holidays. It's just there is something to this. We're seeing that data. Of course, we need to do much bigger studies to prove it on a larger scale,
Yeah. But
but
just
we
even
can
on a
do
small
that.
scale, look what they were
Yeah.
able to show. Yeah.
I mean,
That's
if that's your mom who got that vaccine and she was there for your wedding, my gosh, I get chills. Like, we can do this.
for you. Do you think the success thus far with Cancer Vaccine Coalition is because of your own personal story? I mean, that informs you, your work, drives you to do this. But does it also help in sharing what your mission is?
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe it helped people find us, but I think there is such power in this coalition. And I think the strength I'm seeing in cancer survivors, in the people who love us, in, look, let's just say it, women, men get breast cancer also, but this is a disease that mostly impacts women. There is such power in our community. We're at a moment in women's health where we're talking about it, we're standing up. I see this as a movement where we really need to stand up and say, what other cancer are people having to like wrap themselves in pink and feathers and to like get attention for it and to get better options? And I just think that, if we demand better, and I'm seeing people who want to do that and who are willing to help us, we're all volunteers still at this point. I mean, these are people who are like, have families and, have had great careers and who are putting some of it aside to be able to help us. I still don't draw a salary. We're passionate about this. And I think that's what's going to drive it. And, we still have a lot of growing to do, and I'd like to hire people to help us out. I think that would be, much more effective and a better way down the road to do this. But I think it's really, this is not about me. This is about all of our stories, because I guarantee you, everyone who's listening knows somebody who's been impacted by cancer and knows how devastating that is for a family. And if you say you would do anything to stop cancer, here's your chance.
Here's
We
the
really,
opportunity.
like, this is, I'm giving you the roadmap of what we can do to raise money to support this science and to see. And it's like, we're seeing vaccines developed in pancreatic cancer. That was a death sentence for the longest time. And
Hmm.
at Memorial Sloan Kettering, they're doing, a trial in personalized vaccines for pancreatic cancer that's showing great results.
And
We're
and
seeing
and I know breast cancer research and everything does get a lot of attention
it
versus
does.
maybe some of the other. But the fact that this could be the thing that kickstarts a vaccine not only for breast cancer but also for
Right.
other forms of cancer,
Yeah, I
correct?
mean, solid tumor cancers have a lot of similarities. And one of the vaccines that I'm really excited about, and we're, helping, we made that connection for the trial, is called StemVac. So it's a vaccine that targets cancer stem cells. It is
Ooh.
disease and subtype agnostic. So they're trialing it in both lung cancer and in breast cancer at the
Wow.
University of Washington. So, that shows you that if you know which parts of a cancer cell or a cancer stem cell in particular to target, um, those proteins, just like we saw with the COVID vaccine, it knew how to target, the different antigens. That's how a cancer vaccine works. So it, programs your immune system to recognize that and to eliminate it. So if we can eliminate cancer stem cells, you could have a vaccine, and as soon as a cancer stem cell became active, your body would know to
It just
fight and eliminate it.
that
And
would
so that's, the research, and why the coalition is so important is because everyone across the vaccine research world is working for the same types of things. We're beginning to see it unlock, like I said, in melanoma. Other cancers are a little bit more difficult, so it's taking a little bit more time, but the research is going on, I would say, in most cancers at this point,
yeah.
for
And hopefully it's
vaccine.
at hyperspeed now. you know
That's, if I have anything to say about it.
exactly. Because there was also too, I think last month, I don't, it is something called a drug called Kisqali. I don't know if
Pasquale.
Kisqali. So is that something along the same lines is what you're working on, or is that a whole separate department?
That's a separate department, but it may be that these vaccines work well in tandem with something like a Kisqali or something like a pembrolizumab, or there's different things that we're looking at. Could this type of immune therapy, in addition to the vaccine, really help to mount this response, or is it this chemo, but this vaccine works better than, or do we give the vaccine first, or there are a lot of questions. There are a lot of other drugs in development now as well, which could be a piece of this puzzle.
Right. I mean, everything's kind of moving in tandem, I suppose, or
Right, exactly. And when a drug is developed, it's approved for a certain thing, and then we expand what its uses are when we do more research and find out how it works in different cancers or at different times in the cancer, or for different, instead of stage 4, is it better? Can you use it in stage 1 through 3? So, there is constant drug development and improvement going on. But it really needs to be done quickly, because the other thing is, so drugs are on a patent, or, when something is developed, it gets patented. That has a lifespan where then you see generics coming out eventually of that same drug. So it's a limited amount of time that a pharmaceutical company could make money on that and wants to invest in it before others can make that drug and sell it as well, and it chips away at your market share. So, that's the other piece of this, is why we need it to move quickly, because if patents are ticking away, we don't have time to wait for
No.
it to go through, the approval process 10 years from now. And I don't know what the exact timeline on some of these are, but it's really important that the development is supported now. Somebody can manufacture it. Yes, somebody can make money
And
from
they
it.
can do it fast.
Yeah,
They
they
have the
can do it
power.
fast. We saw that during COVID. I mean,
Yes. I mean, look at how quickly they were able to develop a vaccine, and
10
hopefully,
years of
something
science.
like this, I don't think there'd be resistance to a vaccine along these lines.
Right. So this will never be like government mandated. You won't have to take it. Right now, most of them are even in treatment or preventing recurrence. There are some in high trials in high risk individuals. Yeah, the holy grail is someday, could we do a preventative for cancer? That would be amazing. You wouldn't have to do it, but if you wanted to
Wanted
prevent
to.
cancer and you believed in it, that's fine. I mean, this idea of vaccine has been so politicized. That's one of the reasons when I first started this, we didn't go with vaccine in the name. And then I realized that there's not as much pushback. I think people understand that, cancer vaccines are something different. They're
Yep.
needed. The mRNA technology was already in development for cancer vaccines, and we pivoted to develop the COVID vaccine. So it had been in development for a while. What that gave us was safety data on that type of technology. And so it has, they're going back now to looking at mRNA for cancer vaccines or DNA cancer vaccines. And we do have some more data than we did prior to COVID. But look, if you're faced with, you could get a vaccine or you could amputate a part of your body and put toxic chemicals into it. I mean, a vaccine seems like a really
The
good
way to go.
option to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, just listening to you and how, I don't know if 5, 10 years ago you would have thought you would have been this knowledgeable on a subject matter like this. And
I
obviously you're a
know.
newswoman, you're very intelligent, but you have become very knowledgeable on this topic. So I'm curious though, are you happy where you're at? And also you look fabulous.
Oh,
So I was
thank
curious, how are you feeling? How are you doing with
Yeah.
all the, with all that stuff?
I always say, like, as a journalist, I knew a little about a lot of things. I'm great at cocktail parties because I can talk about any subject. I've reported on it, or I know someone who's in it, or, and I obviously kept up with the news a lot. So this is a much deeper dive. I loved the medical reporting that I did at NBC. That was really some of my favorite, because it did feel really substantive and exciting and cutting edge. So I love to dive into it. Not anything to this level. And, there's still times on our doctor's call and they get together monthly where I have no idea what they're talking about.
I
It's
know.
way over my head. That's okay. My idea is let's bring the smartest people together in the same room to solve this. So whether it's the scientists, the financial piece of it, the government piece of it, I mean, I think everybody has their role. Mine is as the mouthpiece. So I understand as much as I can. And I'm, learning more and more every day. And yeah, it's really fulfilling for me. Um,
Oh,
I love this work. I've never felt more driven. I've never worked harder. I have to say, I think people think a network correspondent is a really hard job. There are parts of it that are really hard. The travel and the, last minute, get your bags packed or have them packed already.
deadlines.
Yeah, exactly. But now I look back and I'm like, wow, that was really easy. I had so much time. I
Well,
like
you're
did
changing the
projects around
world,
the house.
girl. That's what's going on.
I know. I guess curing cancer is kind of hard, but
It's, yes, but you're feeling good. Everything.
I do.
Yeah,
I feel great. I do need to always remind myself to take care of myself. Like today, I haven't gotten my workout in yet, and that needs to be, exercise is a really important part of survival. So, I've got to just keep myself in check because there is no end to the work to be done here, no end to the phone calls, no end to the, just learning and fundraising and all of that. I bought a walking desk that is sitting next to me, still not plugged in. So I need to get that going. I can like walk on our next thing. But yeah, like anyone, there's a lot to be done and I'm doing the best I can and balancing it all. But I'm really happy and I'm really hopeful. And I think that's the most important part of this
yes,
is the hope. It can be tough to have a cancer diagnosis. It can be tough to worry about recurrence every day. Every time I have a headache, every time my back aches, I think, is this the cancer coming back? And that's a hard weight
yeah,
to live under. And so this helps me. I feel like I'm taking control of it. I think being a patient advocate is really helpful, at least for me, because I feel like I'm fighting for something that is going to change the world, going to save lives. And,
absolutely.
there's no better, bigger legacy that I can leave than moving this forward.
And I hope to use my big mouth to, to to help you. And because obviously you said your mouthpiece. And
Yeah.
women rally. This is great. So we'll do.
I think we can do it. And I think it is just let's all come together. Let's, shout it from the rooftops. Let's go to Capitol Hill. Let's do some good old fashioned bra burning. Like we can, we deserve better.
Absolutely. And
And
you're the
so,
woman
yeah,
who's leading the charge. So I'm so glad you came back to the show. Thanks so much, Kristen. This it's phenomenal what you're doing. And so everyone needs to know about this. So whatever we can do, we will
thank
we
you.
will
Oh,
be
I'm
there.
so
So
grateful for your friendship and for, helping me spread the word and for everyone listening who's going to check out our website, cancervaccinecoalition.org,
yep.
and, follow us on social, send us your Give Us a Shot videos. There is something that everyone can do. So
Just
thank you.
give us, yes, I love it. But also, and two, you can learn more about Kristen and the Cancer Vaccine Coalition by just going to thewomenseye.com. I got a little plug too. On the website, you'll
Ah,
also find our books, 20 Women Change Makers, people like Kristen Dahlgren.
love
Just
it.
shop wherever you buy books and at changemakersbook.com. And we also have 20 women storytellers right up your alley. So you can find this book at womenstorytellersbook.com. Now, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And also, you can subscribe to our newsletter and YouTube channel to see me and Kristen. Again, thanks, Kristen, so much. Just give us a shot, right? Or just give me a shot.
Hashtag give me a shot. Give us a shot. Either
Just,
one
you
is
got
good.
it. I love it. It's a great motto. So until the next Women's Eye podcast, I'm Stacey Gualandi. Remember, it's the world as we see it.